Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are honored to be sitting down with Jim Blasko. Jim is a founder and CEO of Aspire. Jim appeared in the crypto space in late 2010, and he's been building blockchains and platforms since Unbreakable Coin in 2013. He also co-founded B-Commerce Labs with Michael Turpin. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going very well. So it's been a exciting couple months in particularly Bitcoin and crypto generally. What have you been keeping an eye on?
Well, you can't help but see everything that's kind of happening right now. There's a lot of stuff going on where we're maintaining our concentration on Aspire and building that out and the user base and partnerships, which is going really well. Aside from what we're doing right now, there's the space is crazy. The space is in a the space is in a new level of outer space right now. Like it's we're seeing things we haven't seen before. We're seeing the whales really show how powerful they are. And it's a really interesting time. Users need to be careful right now. There's uh there's a lot of risk out there right now. You're seeing a lot of groups claiming that certain coin is going to pump on a certain day and a certain time, and then nothing happens. And it's obviously just to get users to new users to buy in. I'm seeing lots of scams pop up. I'm one of the administrators on the Facebook channel for Ethereum, where we have 188,000 users there. And on a daily basis, we're removing thousands of posts from, a lot of camps on the other side of the world who are participating in investment scams and trying to get people to participate in their investment scams. So there's a lot of stuff that users, especially the new users, need to be careful about right now. There's a lot of things happening in the space that are very risky and can leave you wrecked.
I'm curious, how are the whales flexing their might presently?
Well, because it's easy for them. The whales are the guys with all the coins that can do basically whatever they want because they've got the power and the money to move these markets in massive ways. So when they decide to do such, they can. But what you have is all the wannabe whales, which is the dangerous ones. They're out there. See, the big whales, they're just moving their money around to make big pumps, and it's easy to see. And I mean, you can follow these blockchains and see where the money's moving around. Follow the money, they say. But the other thing is that you get the wannabe whales who start these little pump groups and make claims that something's going to pump, and it doesn't. And it's all just in order for them to sell their bags of shit coins that nobody clearly wants. So
Has there been
there's a
any
lot. Go ahead. Sorry.
has there been any news that you've been keeping an eye on lately that has popped out at you as significant?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that are significant. The Ripple news is very significant. I'm watching that very closely. Um, let's see
What
what else is.
implications do you think that has? What I found interesting was that it actually had a pretty strong rally the other day, despite all that it is up against. So, what are you keeping an eye on in terms of Ripple, and what are the implications of that?
The implications are huge. I think. I mean, hopefully it leads to regulation rules. We're really looking for the rules to be set in place so that we can follow them. You know, right now a lot of the rules are kind of in the air and change from state to state. There's no federal set guidelines yet. We're still waiting on those. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens with that. It will force that issue to to process faster. We want to see where regulation rules are. We work within them so that we can be a legal company. You know what I mean? So it's important to us to do that. But it's kind of hard when your own government doesn't give you a straightforward answer. So that's really going to be helpful as we go forward. I think there'll be some type of settlement, and then we'll see some type of rules, hopefully.
Do you think there are implications of that case, the Ripple versus SEC case, for projects like Ethereum or other crypto projects?
Absolutely. That's why I'm stating that we need these rules set in place. I think it's important for all cryptocurrencies that and companies that operate within the United States. Absolutely.
I found it surprising that they went after Ripple first and foremost. I think Ripple has been perhaps one of the most forthright in working, and they've had to be in working with some of the big banks. And I found it surprising that they were kind of the ones who were singled out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. Um, it could be because they were, like a pre-mine basically, and it could be something like that where they own the majority of the coins. So, whereas Ethereum was more of a mined coin, if you will, and there was a small ICO, but since then there's been a lot of mining that decentralizes Ethereum. So, I think it breaks down to what could be ruled as a centralized um, cryptocurrency versus a decentralized one. It could be that it's considered to be too centralized by Ripple as a corporation, which is good though, because then we'll see what that means. We'll finally get to know what that means within the laws of this country. It's important to know these things because they're not the only ones out there doing it.
What's surprising, ironic, novel, or controversial to you right now in the crypto or blockchain space?
How corporate it's getting. That's it wasn't supposed to be like that. We were all supposed to be kind of, I don't know. I mean, it all started like an underground thing, which was cool, and then it was kind of something that was ours. And now you're seeing the banking and financial institutions who ridiculed us and made fun of us and said we were all scammers. And here they are trying now to, integrate it into their financial systems to where they're going to want you to go to US Bank or Bank of America soon and deposit your Bitcoin in their bank because they're not going to want you to hold your own cryptocurrency. They're going to want to hold your cryptocurrency. I mean, it's the whole idea of this banking system to hold your money and charge you to do so. It's ridiculous. So, what crypto really began as is all of a sudden merging into this corporate thing that I can't stand. I'm so anti-corporate in that way. I want to, work within all the federal laws that are out there, but at the same time, I don't want to be turn into one of these corporation guys. I'd rather be like I always have been and run our company that way. Something for the people. It's not always about making money. Most of the time, if you really care about technology, it's about, giving people what they need in order to build stuff that they can use right now and to help their lives, help their businesses, help their brand, whatever it is. You know, um, that's what I think is really important. But it's good now that blockchain's getting the notoriety and that it deserves, and the attention that it deserves, and the adoption rate is, it's growing exponentially right now. It's wonderful in that aspect, but I hate the corporate people coming in and trying to control it. That just sucks.
Yeah, the word co-optation is actually short for corporate or commercial adoption, and I've seen this co-optation of blockchain as well. And I think that there are certain outcomes. Not only that we have to hold our Bitcoin at Bank of America or Wells Fargo, but also that it could be one day that we have to register our computers or we have to register our
Cell
our
phones.
hard wallets and
I
cell
mean,
phones.
they already have our cell phones, but they'll want it all tied into where you won't go to the bank anymore. You'll do everything over your phone. Your bank will be like a third party verification company only that holds your cryptocurrency. It will all be digital at some point. There won't be the need. They won't really be a need for paper money and physical money when doing transactions online anymore. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, you'll see it happen soon enough. At some point they're gonna require it. They're gonna require you to tell them how much you're holding and where you're holding it, and they're gonna want you to hold it in a bank. Otherwise, these financial institutions are gonna collapse. There's gonna be no need for them. And depending upon what the fees are, it's gonna be interesting because look at the fees right now for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's outrageous, right? I mean, this is also a major problem, and it's part of the reason we built Aspire, because with our gas coin, it's currently under 50 cents. You can do over 380,000 transactions. So, and then once we wrap Bitcoin and Ethereum onto our network, you can use those coins to transact and do 380,000 transactions of Bitcoin for under 50 cents on the Aspire network. So we've got really good plans for that. Really good plans for the problems that exist right now. But, how it turns into a banking thing, I'll fight it as long as I can. I've got a sign on my wall and it says Bitcoin because F banks, you know. I'm not a fan of the banks. When you don't have perfect credit and you could have all the money in the world in cryptocurrency, but when you go to a bank and you want to get a loan, most of the time they're going to say no. They're going to tell you your crypto's no good, and that's how it's been. I mean, I had my bank account shut down just because I received a check from selling some Bitcoin from an institution, which is totally legal. I didn't do anything wrong, but the bank shut down my bank account, and that's why they told me they did it. So I can't stand these banks. I don't like their way. We've got a better way. We've got a better system. We're not running in the 20s, 30s, 40s, or the 1800s anymore, man. This is we're in the technology era, and we don't need them anymore.
Having one's bank account shut down is kind of a badge of pride in the crypto space, especially for, I guess, what is termed the crypto or Bitcoin OGs. Could you kind of describe your history in the space from mining Bitcoin with CPUs to today before we get into Aspire?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was always mining Bitcoin from the beginning. It was something very fun to do. It got boring at some point. That's why I started wanting to figure out how to make my own cryptocurrency, which by 2013 I had made Unbreakable Coin. But I used to use laptops, and I'd go around and bug all my friends for their old computers, and people were handing me, junk computers they didn't want anymore. I'd rip them apart and put them into a crate so that they could stay cooler, and then you know throw fans on them. This is long before ASIC devices, and just mine Bitcoin. You just run a simple Qt wallet and tell it to set generate equal true, and off you would go. And then eventually they figured out you could use your GPU to mine Bitcoin, and it was even better. And so we started buying video cards. All this predates Ethereum and all that stuff. And then along came the ASIC devices, which were cool too. Little chips, they were USB chips and stuff like that, and then became blades. And all this evolutionized into what is now Bitmain and Antminer and all the mining of the world. But it started off as a very simple little fun thing where you could, you know, set up a laptop and get a couple hundred Bitcoin, in a couple of days. It was pretty cool. But yeah, those days are long gone, man. Long gone.
What'd you do after you mined? What were some of your first projects, and why did you choose those?
Well, I got bored, man. Really, I just got bored with crypto. Just sitting on exchange. It wasn't a lot of volume back then. It was kind of slow. It was kind of boring. And once Charlie Lee made Litecoin, I thought, damn, that'd be really kind of interesting to just have a cryptocurrency project and see what would people do with it. So I came up with Unbreakable Coin, which was, pretty much a straight clone of Bitcoin. And but we just weren't going to put in a lot of the changes that the core community or the Bitcoin core development team was doing. We just wanted to leave it kind of pure to an original version of Bitcoin. And we did that for a while and learned that there's, unless you put in certain measures for the difficulty of mining, then you could get in big trouble with a proof of work chain. You could have miners come along and basically attack your chain by sending all the mining power. So at one point, after a few years of Unbreakable Coin, we got attacked by the miners. And I'm not going to say what country, but we got attacked, and the blockchain, the blocks were flying like crazy, like nothing we'd ever seen before, and they shot it up to a difficulty so high that now it would cost a couple $100,000 a day just to move the blockchain, a single block. So essentially, they broke Unbreakable Coin this way. And it was kind of sad, but what we did was took that experience and started making blockchains for other companies, um, learning all the different algos and stuff, and trying different pieces of different coins to try to make a blockchain that was a little stronger, a lot easier to mine, not so mining intensive to keep it going, and came up with the idea that, a fully pre-mined coin, you wouldn't have to mine it for block reward. You could just mine it for transactions, which would essentially make it very easy to move the blockchain. Then you could do certain other things to keep use gravity wells to keep the targeting of the difficulty of the blockchain kind of together so that it doesn't fluctuate so much. So that in this way you could keep the block times more consistent. All this resulted in working great blockchain, but then we found out that there was double spending problems with stuff like this. So back to the drawing board, use some technology called advanced checkpoints and integrate that. And what we've come up with is a really cool blockchain. And we use that now for the basis of corporation cryptocurrencies, I call them, people who want to buy a blockchain for the company. So we did that for years. And I said, I just want to do something for the people, like we can give this technology to everybody and we can make it extremely affordable. We can make it extremely secure so that anybody in the world can have their own cryptocurrency and it won't cost them more than $1. And that's what Aspire is. So after 3 years of building that, we've built this machine that, this platform that allows anybody to do what I just said. You take about 2 minutes, you type in the name, you type in how many cryptos you want, how many of that asset you want issued, whether it's 1 or 5 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, you do up to 92 million tokens. And then you click create, and 2 minutes later it pops out. So it's pretty cool, pretty efficient, super secure, and very affordable.
We're speaking on February 1st, 2021, or February 2nd, excuse me. I'm curious, what is on the agenda for Aspire the rest of the year?
Big things, big things. We just did the North American Bitcoin Conference. We released a video for that and mentioned some of our partnerships there. Basically, we've got some good things coming, some new technology coming, some new features for Aspire. We're looking to roll out our DEX. So there will be a decentralized exchange within the Aspire network where people who create their own assets will be able to trade them. It's also where we will wrap Bitcoin and wrap Ethereum, much like you're seeing on Ethereum currently. So yeah, we're getting places right now. I'm very, very happy about the future. We opened a video game arcade, a retro arcade in Las Vegas. It's called the Aspire Arcade. It's pretty cool. You can go there and play Pac-Man and pinball, a whole bunch of different stuff. And we're going to convert those old video games, some newer ones, but Mortal Kombat's and stuff. But we're going to convert all these video games to take cryptocurrency. So you'll be able to use some of your Aspire coins, or most likely GASP at first, the GASP coin, and you'll be able to use that to pay for your credits at the arcade. So we're just showing that what you can do with this technology to people. It's not just limited to trading or, this stuff has real world usage.
What use cases have you seen for the corporate cryptocurrency?
Well, we've seen companies build their own cryptocurrency for platforms like, there was a virtual reality company that used something called voxels. They used a cryptocurrency that we made using that technology for them. It was the first virtual reality money for a virtual reality game, which was kind of cool. It was traded on Bittrex. That was a fun project to watch. And then did something for a company called eBoost, made them a cryptocurrency, which I'm not quite sure what they're doing with it, but I'm sure they're probably have some plans for it in the future. I know they're involved with some gigantic mining operation now, but um, yeah, we've made different. They were an esports company that had a video game, and I guess you could use the coin for betting on the video game or playing in competitions and winning tournaments, stuff like that. It was their money as well. So yeah, we're seeing things. Working with a company right now who is going on Aspire because there's really no need to do a corporate crypto anymore where you can just make your coin on Aspire, and then you're on the network with everybody else. So um, that's what we're seeing now. Like we have a partnership with a company called Talent Joe, which is kind of like the online version of American Idol, where people can they can hire talent, they can find talent, they can advertise themselves as talent. So there's a lot of different options. There's talent show contests on there where people win money. So they're going to be on Aspire with their network. So they've got some pretty cool stuff going on, man. I'm really happy with where we're at right now and where we're going in the future here.
Where's the arcade based in Las Vegas?
We're down at the Fantastic, which is on the corner of it's a fantastic indoor swap mall, and it's 1717 Decatur Boulevard, right in the middle of Las Vegas.
Vegas has kind of evolved quite a bit. I don't think I've been there post-COVID though. And what I noticed was that, for instance, the arts district was really starting to blossom over the last few years.
Well, finally, the city put some money into historic downtown. It wasn't just all going into Fremont anymore. Now they're trying to keep some of the history, some of the old parts, and the art district is definitely vintage Vegas, and it's a cool area, man. We do something down there called First Friday once a month, and since COVID, I don't think they've had any. But I'll let you know because the next one would be this Friday, so I'll find out.
You made a post recently about how I believe it was eToro may have to stop Bitcoin trading due to supply and demand issues. Coming from the crypto, or rather
Or
the
rather,
precious metals industry as I have, I think I've seen that in the silver space quite a bit, although the prices haven't exactly exploded like one might expect intuitively, but it's tough to get silver. Do you expect it one day to be such that people can't buy Bitcoin because there isn't enough supply?
no, with the fact that you can go 8 decimals back, I mean, it's all just about supply and demand. What's going to happen is, yeah, I think the general consensus out there is that everybody kind of wants to own one Bitcoin. They all want to have just a whole Bitcoin. Not everybody can afford that, obviously, but um, it's hard to even, like, right now you can still buy a whole Bitcoin. It's not the end of the world. You can do it, but there is the idea that if everybody wants to hold one Bitcoin, there just isn't enough. It's simply not enough Bitcoin. So what do you do?
And then when it comes to Aspire, I'm curious, like, what's it like being an entrepreneur in the crypto industry? And we kind of spoke about what we are looking at moving forward. I'm curious, like, what was 2020 like? There were probably lots of challenges, and how did you overcome?
2020 was interesting. I think this crypto space can be so up and down sometimes. Like we all experienced a euphoria, at the end of 2017, watching Bitcoin go into $20,000. That was a real epic feeling, and the turnaround was so dramatically fast that it was kind of depressing too. Because not everybody sold, and a lot of us held and wanted to see it go further. You know what I mean? And then you try to take some money as it's going down, but it crashed pretty hard, pretty fast. So it's been a long, like, winter, if you will. And 2020 had some really strange effects on certain businesses. Like it was good for Bitcoin and it was really good for sports cards. Uh, You know, um, lots of people out there love trading sports cards again, buying packs, boxes, ripping them open, trying to find an autographed Kobe Bryant or Patrick Mahomes or whatever it is. There's certain businesses have really thrived, but crypto's one of them. We've seen a lot of growth in this last year, and one could say it has to do with COVID because a lot of people spent a lot more time at home and on the computer and started to learn about these things. Along with that, financial institutions became more comfortable with Bitcoin overall, and they've been watching it all these years. It stuck around. It's still here. It didn't break. It didn't die, as they've claimed Bitcoin was dead 1,000 times. No, it's still here. It's not going anywhere. It's not going away. So we've seen a lot of growth there. So it's been good for certain industries. I know other industries have suffered tremendously. The tourism industry is really suffering. I mean, there's just a lot of people that are having a hard time because of COVID regulations and restrictions. I'm sure that the conventions are struggling too. I usually speak at 10 to 12 conventions a year, and I think I spoke at 2 or 3 last year in total. So, and none of them, they were all virtual. None of them were in person. Yet crypto still is expanding. So there's something to say about that.
How was that going from dozens of conferences per year or a dozen conferences per year to basically zero?
Well, what got to be a little bit overwhelming at sometimes, because it's a lot of work, these conventions, especially if you're hands-on like I am, like I'm involved in the design, preparation and getting people trained and, getting staff worked out and planning all the reservations and the events. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So it got to be a little bit exhausting at some points, but it was always fun because you always meet new people who are really like-minded and they enjoy cryptocurrency the way you do. And a lot of people that I've spoken to about cryptocurrency, have looked at me and said, damn, man, I never really thought of it like that. I never really thought I could use it that way. And never really realized how that could benefit my business. A lot of people ask the question, what can I use cryptocurrency for? Why do I even need it? A lot of people, Steve Jobs used to say, people it's not their job to know what they want. It's our job to tell them what they want, and I think Steve was right. It's also our job to, show people what they can do with this stuff. Because just telling them, yeah, you can make your own cryptocurrency doesn't necessarily, that it might not be enough for somebody to understand why they can use it or how they can use it. But each business is a little different, but believe me, it's beneficial to every single one of them.
So for noobs, what can people do with this stuff?
Well, they can brand themselves for one. They can, if they're looking to do fundraisers, they can use it for that. They can use them as placers for other things later. They can use it for, to take money up front for goods and services that they plan to provide later. All of this needs to be done within, the right ways and laws of your state, capital, or country, whatever it is. You need to follow all your laws, obviously, but the tools are there for any noob or individual or even experienced user or company. The tools are now here for them to use cryptocurrency in a way that's easy and simple, and that's the whole purpose of this. It's not technically hard to use, whereas lots of features of a lot of things are hard. Trying to use some of these hardware wallets is a nightmare for people. Even experienced users call me and go, man, I am having nothing but trouble over here. Can you help? Can you come over here and help me? So we wanted it to be simple and easy. And then, we don't give guidance on how to sell your coins or whatnot like that. But we have done things like make partnerships with Bitcoin.com and hitBTC.com and Changely.com so that people can get a discounted rate on getting their coin listed. So for instance, if you build your own cryptocurrency on Aspire and then you want to go get it listed on Bitcoin.com, there's a discounted rate just for those people versus if you built it on some other platform. We have full partnership with Bitcoin.com as well as the other two exchanges I mentioned.
Can you tell us about those partnerships? Bitcoin.com obviously is the property of Roger Ver. How did those partnerships come about, and how have they benefited Aspire?
Well, it gives Aspire to the world, basically allows the world to acquire Aspire and Gasp. Those coins, previously weren't on any exchange. And so it does that for people. Bitcoin.com is a pretty large name, obviously. Anybody who is new to the space, Bitcoin.com may be the first place they actually go. So that was important to us to be with a good exchange with a reputable name. And I can't really think of anybody better than that to start with. So that was a good starting point. We were reached out by one of their guys over there who runs the back end engine, and he was a friend of mine and a fan of Aspire, and contacted me and said, "Hey, let's work out this partnership to where we're full partnership where we market each other, and we'll get you guys listed on our exchange so that users can acquire Aspire and Gasp." And at the same time, I said, "Well, that's great, but the main purpose of our platform is to allow people to build their own cryptocurrencies, tokens, NFTs, whatever they want. So we want them to be able to get those listed on your exchange as well." So that's how that partnership came up, and the discount plan came up. Now that price was like 5 Bitcoin when Bitcoin was somewhere around $10,000. But I would check with them now because obviously the prices of Bitcoin have changed quite a bit.
What are your thoughts on the prevalence of DEXs or things like Uniswap?
I think they're super important, and that's why we're going to launch ours, as soon as we can, hopefully by Q1 this year. I think DEX is extremely important. Sorry about that. I think a DEX is super, super important because not everybody has the money that they need to get listed on Bitcoin.com, so I think it's important that there's a way that they can trade their coin. And with Bitcoin being wrapped and Ethereum being wrapped, I think it's great. Their startup project can now be traded for Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Do you have any kind of concluding comments about Aspire, what people need to know about it? And then we'll get to where they can find it.
It's just, I think I've kind of covered it. It's really a simple thing. It's extremely secure. It's really fast. You got to try it. That's all I recommend is just try it. Give it a shot. Look at it. If you want to, if somebody contacts you, if your audience wants to contact me, they can, and I'll help them build for the next 30 days until like March 1st, I'll give them the coins that they need in order to build their own cryptocurrency. So it takes 10 ASP and a little bit of Gasp, and they'll be able to build their own token, asset, NFT. So anybody that wants to do that, just hit us up. I'll help you out.
Once one has their own token, then what would the next steps be for a healthy ecosystem?
Well, obviously, you got to have a plan in place. You got to have some type of service that you want to provide, some type of good or product. I mean, it could be artwork, it could be music, it can be whatever you desire. I mean, some people could say, "Hey, I'm going to go out and take pictures with my cell phone, and those pictures are only going to be available through my tokens. So, better get these tokens now." It can be used for millions of different, really, whatever you want to think of. Well, anything you can think of, you can use a cryptocurrency for. That's how I look at it. So it's just a matter of how do you want it to represent something else? And
We've
the DEX will
spoken
give them that. I'm sorry. The DEX will give them that ability to offer it up.
we've spoken today with Jim Blasko of Aspire at aspirecrypto.com. Thank you so much, Jim. Where can people find you other than at aspirecrypto.com?
Well, they can definitely hang out with us at aspire.army. That'll take you right into our Telegram. So we're always hanging out in there, posting gifts, talking about what's happening that week. updates, just it's general chat. But our team is there, and a lot of the fans of Aspire are there. So come join us.
Excellent, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize for the noises of the cars. I'm in my backyard enjoying this finally nice weather here in Las Vegas. So occasional car has driven by behind me. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I think you've got a good directional mic. Enjoy away. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you guys. Have a great one.